Are you fascinated by the paranormal and want to hear about encounters that have happened to real-life people in real-life places? Do you need a drink to calm those nerves after hearing some scary stories?
You're listening to Booze and Bourbon.
Well, we invite you to grab a drink, whether it's a coffee or something with a little bit more spirit in it. Grab a blanket, snuggle in, because I'm Kim and that's Jen, and we're Booze and Bourbon. Jen, how are you?
Good. How are you, Kimberly?
I'm so excited for a number of reasons. First off,
Yes.
I'm sitting next to you in real life.
I know, and we're super close, just so everyone knows. We're like a foot apart. Okay.
So I guess this means you're in my bubble family.
We're bubbling.
And we're bubbling. I mean, I really don't get out much anyway, so.
No, we seem to be doing very good here, so I don't think we should worry about it.
Yeah, we haven't had any new cases, so we're good. But I'm also excited for a number of other reasons because we have lots of news.
Oh, we do.
So first of all, we have a new logo.
Yep.
And then second of all, we have a new online store.
Which is amazing.
I quite like it myself. There's 31 designs in total right now. There could be more by the time this episode is aired. But we have everything from whiskey art on socks and t-shirts and stickers and throw pillows and ghost hunter apparel and our fan gear to East Coast inspired stuff, which is pretty cool because we included a truly Atlantic Canadian food group called Donaires.
Yep. They're major.
They are.
Component.
If you don't know what a donaire is, essentially it is like ground beef formed into a loaf, put on a rotisserie spit, and then sliced, heavily spiced. Then you put it on a pita with some tomatoes, some onions, and then there's this magical sauce called donaire sauce. It sounds really gross when you talk about all of the things that are in it, but it's evaporated canned milk, sugar, and vinegar.
All of the most delicious things combined together onto what some would call mystery meat, but it's not a mystery. It's just very seasoned beef.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Anyway, so we're all about the donaires here. So there's some donaire wear. Yeah. If you want to go check that out, you can find our Redbubble store by typing Booze and Bourbon. So BOOSAND bourbon.redbubble.com.
Just make sure you download the Redbubble app on your phone so you get 20% off your order.
I've done it. And I ordered some stuff for myself.
I feel like I'm going to end up with like 20 pillows.
And then I also did a piece of art for the Real Conjuring House. And I posted it on a Facebook group. And the owner of the Conjuring House commented how much she loved it. And I was like, I will send you a print. Just send me a DM.
Kim's been very creative here. I mean, not that she's had time off.
No.
She's still been working. But like on quarantine here, she's been very creative. So
thanks, guys.
She's doing big things over here.
So speaking of the Conjuring House, Jen, we also have some other news.
Which, like, my excitement boils over, to be honest with you, because it's one of my favorite places and one of my favorite scary movies of all time. But we just have an interview on June 15th with John Huntington.
Yeah, so he is a paranormal investigator and he's been doing this for a while. He was part of the Dark Zone TV's live stream of The Conjuring House, which happened at the beginning of May for a full week. He spends a lot of time at the house. He's really good friends with the owners. And he had his nose bleed during an EVP session. The ghosts called him a bitch.
Yeah.
He had his sheets pulled from the bottom of the bed when he was sleeping. He had so many things happen to him, and he's been doing some live on his YouTube channel. They've been really cool, but let me guarantee you this. His live with us on June 15th is going to be from the Conjuring House. So we're going to have an opportunity, if we want, to do like a spirit box session, an EVP session. Like, you guys can ask questions to the ghosts at the Conjuring House. Like, how cool is that?
I mean, it doesn't get really any more exciting than that because I feel like we could get some really good feedback.
Yeah.
From our ghost friends in the Conjuring House.
Absolutely.
They're becoming very popular and famous.
They're already calling out to us. This is why we're in this situation. So, and also today, we are talking about haunted lighthouses. We did an episode a while ago, so this is part 2. So we're going to take you to Rose Island in Rhode Island, as well as Labrador, which is part of Newfoundland and Labrador here in Canada. Mm-hmm. And Jen, what do we have in front of us here today for bourbon?
A very exciting, summery looking beverage. A Maker's Mark Strawberry Lemonade.
Love it. Cheers. Cheers. Tink. We took 2 ounces, yes, 2 ounces of Maker's Mark. We put 3 ounces of lemonade, but not just any lemonade, it's pink lemonade, and then crushed up some strawberries in there. So it is definitely summery, and this is one that I like to drink on the boat. And here's to hoping we drink lots of these on the boat this summer. All right, Jen. So now that we've had some bourbon,
yes.
Are you ready for a little summertime edition of Would You Rather?
Absolutely.
Jen.
Yes.
Would you rather have to wear a white bathing suit bottom that is pretty darn see-through?
Mm-hmm.
Or wear a white bikini top and you don't realize until later that there's stains all over it?
Ew, what? How did I get stains on my bikini top? It's very disturbing. You know what? I mean, like a little coffee bean never scared anyone, so the see-through bottoms is probably the way to go. I don't like poop stains on my
I mean, it wasn't that
bikini.
noticeable, or you would have noticed it when you put it on. So it's not like... Yeah.
I suppose.
All right.
But I'll go with the see-through.
Okay.
Coffee bean it is. Ninja slipper. Would you rather, Kim, have a camping experience of a lifetime, i.e., you're camping with perhaps Ryan and, some other, we'll say a couple couples. You go to the bathroom while you're, a little buzzed up, and you potentially wiped with not toilet paper, not your sleeve, not a sock, but a little poison ivy. Or would you rather be on your boat, hanging with all of your friends? We're just out bouncing around, and we might have been dancing a little bit excessively, also buzzed up, and you fall, very harshly over the side of the boat, but you land right in the crotchal area. Both are affecting the crotchal area. Poison ivy or very harsh slam on the old,
Oh my goodness.
The old pearl. She got banged up a little.
I'm just trying to think of which scenario would heal faster.
True.
Would it be the poison ivy? Would I be able to get a cream or something, slather it on?
I don't know what cures that.
I don't know either. Or do I deal with a bruised pubic bone? I think I'm going to have to go with the bruise.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, Jen, for that.
No problem.
So guys, just after the break, we are going to be back to tell you some stories about some haunted lighthouses. Stay tuned.
It's the merchant's daughter, but up in Callio. Hurrah, me and the girls, do let me go. She took me in the parlor and said, would you be me beau? Hurrah, me and the girls, do let me go. Oh, do let me go, me girls, do let me go. Hurrah, me and the girls, do let me go. She chased me round the sofa, lads, wasn't it a show? Hurrah!
Welcome back. On today's show, we're going to get you all sorts of creeped out with the lighthouse on Rose Island in Rhode Island in the East Coast US, and also one up here in Canada. This ghost story in particular spoke to me for a couple of reasons. Jen, I told you about this. So the first thing that was really hitting home for me here was that we're still dealing with a pandemic. So there are still barracks on this island when the island was actually used as a quarantine when there was an outbreak in 1823. Very sadly, a lot of these patients never made it back to the mainland, alive anyway. But secondly, it's the good old Estes method, which of course I'm a fanatic about and haven't been able to stop talking about for the past few episodes. And I can't wait to try it. And it was used in contacting one of the spirits who lives in the lighthouse on the TV show Kindred Spirits. Another situation in which this method worked. So it's the one where you put on the noise canceling headphones, you plug the headphones into a spirit box, you then put the blindfold on and speak to what you hear come out over the headphones while the other person in the room is asking the questions. So it's pretty great. So I can't wait to try it on Haunted because we're going to be filming that at the end of this month.
She's very excited, everyone. A number of ghost hunter type shows have done episodes here, from Ghost Hunters to Ghost Adventures to Kindred Spirits, which are among the big names. But there have been a number of smaller paranormal investigator groups visit this place as well. Hell, you can stay there if you want to, because you can rent a room there overnight. Sounds like a splendid idea.
Yes.
There have been multiple guests stay here that have complained of not being able to sleep well because of the sounds of a woman in pain, screaming or moaning. When the guests go outside to see what is going on, they are quite startled because the sounds are actually coming from inside of the room. Let's get into the history of this place. Rose Island is an 18.5-acre island close to Newport, Rhode Island, United States. It is allegedly named Rose Island because at low tide, the island appears to be shaped like a rose. The island is only accessible by boat. The island and its lighthouse are run by the private nonprofit Rose Island Lighthouse Foundation. So we talked about the barracks on the island. What were their purpose besides a quarantine hospital? Well, fortifications were constructed during the American Revolution on the island. In 1798, the U.S. government began constructing Fort Hamilton on Rose Island, but never completed the fort. Units of the U.S. infantry were stationed there. The stone barracks from the fort still remain. The U.S. Navy did get to use Rose Island to store explosives during World War I and II as part of the Naval Torpedo Station. The government stopped using the island after World War II, except for the lighthouse, and declared it government surplus. The abandoned fort was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2001 as Fort Hamilton Historic District. Then in 1870, the Rose Island Light was built. It served as an aid to navigation for a full century and then was deactivated in 1970 after the Newport Bridge was built. In 1984, a group of people decided to create the Newport Lighthouse Foundation to preserve the light, and in 2008, the light was restored to its Victorian appearance. It has been said that a large wooden sailing vessel caught fire in the bay and exploded, killing most of the people on board. The flames from this event could be seen for miles.
So let's get back into the quarantine hospital situation for just a moment. There are a lot of legends that come along with this Rose Light, and one of them is that there is a mass grave for those who died during this outbreak. The truth is, there's actually 2 mass graves. They found out about this back in 1938 when there was a huge hurricane that uncovered some of the bodies. The logbooks from the time state that the clothing looked to be from the Civil War era of the 1800s. The logbooks were something that the lighthouse keeper would have had all the time. Really, it was a way of keeping record of what happened because quite often the lighthouse keeper would have been the only one on the island. Often shifts were long periods of time, sometimes months or longer, depending on the weather. He would be able to let the other lighthouse keeper know exactly what's going on the island, weather conditions, all that type of thing. Oftentimes these men would grow lonely. They'd go a little crazy, cut off from the rest of the world. How could you not? But occasionally others would learn to appreciate this lifestyle. Sometimes the rest of the world was just way too much and they yearned for the simple life. They could often tend to their lighthouse and its grounds as if it was their own pride and joy, not just a job. Could it be that a man would choose to come back to his lighthouse to check in on things after he died? It seems the answer is yes. Although many paranormal encounters on the island stem from a spirit of a woman, it appears that the old lightkeeper likes to come back and is very talkative. Not that long ago, I was watching the Kindred Spirits show on TV, and they brought in a regular show guest who is a psychic medium, Chip Coffey. As soon as he came onto the island, he could feel the presence of this man and the profound pride that he had while working on the island. So what I found was interesting is that Chip said he could also feel the flames from an explosion when he first stepped on the island. So as time goes on in the show, Chip asked about a man with a name that started with C. then he said, no, it's actually a double C. And this was actually later verified by Rhode Island light historian Joan Quinn. The lighthouse keeper in question was actually named Charles Curtis, hence the 2 C's. Chip and Amy, shortly after this event, convinced Adam from the show to do the Estes method and started asking Adam a bunch of questions. Of course, he couldn't hear because of the noise-canceling headphones, and they got completely freaked out when they asked the lighthouse keeper, Charles, to come down and talk to him. Adam, who can't hear, remember, says, coming down, as if he was coming down from the light, and then they completely freaked out when they heard footsteps walking across the floor upstairs. So cool.
Wow. To confirm this odd occurrence, historian Joan Quinn said in an interview done back in 2017 with Newport Life magazine, people will hear footsteps at midnight, Quinn said. The time corresponds to the schedule of a former longtime lighthouse keeper, Charles, who was known to descend the stairs each night as part of his light tending routine. That was when they would switch shifts, Quinn said. He was known to come down from the tower into the kitchen and make a cup of hot milk. People hear him coming down the stairs, and it usually stops in the kitchen. In another incident, an overnight guest's iPad began typing by itself. You could see the keys lighting up, said Quinn, and it typed out, I'm Ina. I live here. That one really got me.
That is good.
The occurrence was captured on video, but in strange aftermath, no attempt to download the clip was successful. Fans of classic ghost stories know that a common ingredient in tales of restless spirits is a phantom woman sporting a dress in any variety of colors. Rhode Island meets this pedigree, as visitors have sometimes spotted an unearthly lady in white in the lighthouse tower, Quinn said. There was a lot of emotion on those little 18 acres, said Quinn. I think it stays there. Quinn hosts a yearly event highlighting the paranormal occurrences on the island. She tends to mix it up a bit from year to year, especially because she wants to offer something different to guests who come every season. Back in 2017, she offered an overview of techniques for contacting the spirit world, popularized by the 19th century spiritualist movement, such as spirit photography and parlor games, like table tipping and Ouija boards.
I think that's right up your alley.
Yeah. I think I would be a part of that.
I have to agree. I would like to go have a little Ouija board session in the lighthouse overnight and get scared.
I think it's a great idea, Kim, because, I do like a Ouija board, and there's something about the water that's a little calming. So even though we might be scared, the crashing of the waves.
Yeah, I agree.
Might help a little.
But then if you go and you watch a movie like The Lighthouse, you perhaps might not feel that way. Because every single, I don't know, however many minutes, you get this, whoa.
Yeah. True. Some of the sounds aren't as enjoyable.
And the seagulls are like, wah, 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 all the time.
That's also true.
Maybe I have a career in sound effects.
I think you do. It could be a potential, yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for always having my back. All right, so let's get into another story about a lighthouse that is also in the East, but it's way up here in Canada, eh? So I have to say this because sometimes people who think they're really funny say, "Oh, you're from Canada, eh?" And I'm like,
we don't say that.
It's not funny.
No.
You might think you're funny, but I don't think it's funny.
But we don't even really say that often. That's why it's confusing. I'm like, I don't feel like I say "eh."
No. Perhaps other communities within Canada say "eh."
Yeah. Not here, though.
Not here. Anywho, this lighthouse is up on the cold shores of Labrador, which is part of the province Newfoundland and Labrador. This beautiful white and black striped lighthouse is called Point Amour. During a gale of wind, rain, and fog in the 1860s or so, it created a tumultuous time for old Sea Captain Johnson, here from Nova Scotia. He was beating the shoreline with his boat, frantically searching for the light at the lighthouse, but he couldn't see it. He thought it appeared, but it just wasn't there. The lighthouse keeper, as legend had it, had just received all of his rations for his time on shift, which in this case was an entire year. He got his food, he got his toiletries, and he got his beloved rum. He may have had a keen taste for the rum as he attempted to drink his entire year of rations right away. He essentially got hammered. The light was fueled by oil at the time. And if you know, then you know that if you're drunk, there's no way you can make it up 189 steps in a circular staircase. So the light eventually went out. Poor Captain Johnson and his crew smashed the boat along the rocky coastline one last time, and all perished at sea. It has been said that to this day, the ghost of Johnson can be seen in yellow oil slicks and can be heard by rattling metal, whether it's coming from chains, keys, or both of those, while the apparition holds an oil lantern. His ghost appears on the side of the lighthouse that no one has been in for many years. Some say that his spirit is at unrest and wants to warn others of the grisly coastline, but others say he's simply looking for the lighthouse keeper to have a word with him.
A couple of more recent lighthouse keepers have been interviewed about whether or not the legend has any truth to it. Neither one wanted to fully admit they had seen Johnson, but one did say that he's heard him. More recently, a group of university students stayed in the lighthouse, and when their professor heard what the students were yelling and screaming, he certainly became a believer in the old captain's apparition. The students were yelling, "I'm not the lighthouse keeper." The professor claims he had not told any of the students about the ghost story, especially not on a dark and stormy night when this experience happened. And to leave you with one everlasting thought-provoking contribution, a psychic visited the lighthouse in 1995 and knew nothing of the ghostly story of Captain Johnson, but immediately upon arrival, she felt compelled to paint what she felt, heard, and saw on a rock. What she drew was a black silhouette of a side profile of an angry man wearing a sou'wester fishing hat.
Love it.
That reminds me of the movie. What was the movie that came out, the horror movie with the guy that wore that and he had a hook on his hand and he...
Oh.
Remember that?
Wasn't that I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yes. That guy. He had one of those.
He did. He had a sou'wester.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, guys, it's about time to wrap up another episode of Booze and Bourbon. We have some Patreon things headed out in the mail for our beloved patrons. So thank you guys for all of your support. And with your help, the show keeps growing and getting better and better. And we're able to do these things like send you guys some free stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you know of somebody that wants to become a patron, or if you want to become a patron, you just need to go to patreon.com/boozeandbourbon and you will get early release trailer videos. You'll get a shout out on the show. And like I said, you'll get some free stuff. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys. And of course, thank you always to all of our listeners, everybody who follows us on social media. We definitely love talking with you and we've built some amazing relationships and we're just so freaking grateful for you. So Jen, if people don't know where to find us on social media, where can they find us?
Well, we currently are blowing up Instagram. Probably. We haven't grown any followers like recently. We've gotten rid of some. Like I feel like people are like, I can't handle these girls. They're crazy. But then other people are like, let's jump on the crazy train. It's too much.
Too much?
I mean, I think we're pretty cool. But yes, we are on Instagram. Booze and Bourbon, of course. Booze and Bourbon, the podcast on Facebook. For all of you Facebookers.
Which actually that has been growing a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you can find us on any provider of podcasts on your phone or on your laptop. We are going to start using our YouTube channel more. Yes. But we are on YouTube, of course, as well.
We certainly are. I was just going to say, and speaking of Facebook, again, guys, don't want you to miss out on the Facebook Live. So if you don't already follow us on Facebook, now is the time. Just so that you can subscribe and get notifications in case for some reason you forget. But it is June 15th, and it's our very first live stream, and it is with John Huntington from the original Conjuring House, like the Conjuring House. So the house that had the crazy poltergeist activity that tormented the Barren family back in the 1970s. This is the spot. Mm-hmm. So we did an episode actually on it. If you want a refresher, go back and listen to one of our very first episodes, which is episode 10. And let me tell you, it was painful to listen to because I just feel like we've changed so much since then, but that's cool.
We really grew from there, but you know.
Yeah. And if you don't want to listen to the first 16 minutes, then just go to the 16-minute mark and start listening to the poltergeist at the Conjuring House.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening today, and we will be back with an all-new episode next Friday.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, that actually sounds really good.
Sounds like I'm on the movie The Bridesmaids, and she's on the airplane.
Yes.
My name is Miss Iglesias. Yes.
No, it's not.
Booze and Bourbon is part of the ABV network. For more information or to advertise on the show, please head over to abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.